Welcome everyone to Rewind, Recap, Relive, where legends and rising stars meet. I'm your host Jonah, and we're here for a fantastic episode today, bringing you the imminent threat, Hellmann Rosecrown, coming on with the French phenom, of course, veteran in the wrestling industry, Rene Dupree, second generation as well. This is a one-of-a-kind interview like all of our others. Trust me, I had a lot of fun with this one, and I know you're going to enjoy it, and we're going to get right into it after a few brief announcements. First, just got done with a great collaboration with Tea Time with Tommy. Some awesome people over there. Tommy, Norbs, Brittany alike. That's a great show. You should definitely go check them out. I just literally left that room and now I'm filming this intro. So I'm telling you, go check them out. Second thing on the agenda, we're coming up on our 1 year anniversary here at Rewind, Recap, Relive. We've had over 100 people on this show. 100 people, over 50 rising stars, 50 veterans and legends. So many people from the wrestling industry have helped me grow this show from nothing to where it is now, and I'd like to consider that definitely something. So, thank you everyone out there for all of your help, all your support, coming on the show, advice that you've given me, and anybody who's asked for advice in return. It definitely boosts my ego a little bit. So, thank you to the wrestling podcaster community, the wrestling world in general. It's been a hell of a ride, and we're going to keep trudging along. Next week, that collaboration with Tea Time with Tommy is going to be on the channel here, but tonight, you can enjoy Rene Dupree and Hellmann Rosecrown, and after that, we've got some banger interviews on the way. So make sure you tune in and see what we're going to do for that 1 year anniversary, but first, let's get into the winner of the 9th Wonder of the World pin, and how you can win the Nature Boy Jet Flying pin that I'm wearing right here. Let's get into that right now. Congratulations, you are the winner. We will be in touch. You're getting the 9th Wonder of the World pin and some stickers, courtesy, of course, of the champs over at Wrestling Pins. You can satisfy all of your pin needs right there. Go to the link right on the screen here, and make sure when you're there, you use our code RRR15 off for 15% off your next Wrestling Pins order, and I'll see you wearing some pins. All right, we've taken care of everything. I'm shooting you straight into Rene Dupree and Hellmann Rosecrown. I had such a good time with this. Make sure you like the video. You tell everyone you're watching Rene Dupree and Hellmann Rosecrown. Hit that subscribe button down below. On the road to 1K. Expect a fantastic collaboration next week. Just got done with another collaboration with Turnbuckle Debates in between filming this intro. So keep checking it out. A lot of fun stuff on the way. Like I said, approaching that 1 year. Maybe drop a congrats down below, but there'll be a post and everything about it. Trust me. And hey, I'll see you soon. Our first guest has 2 years in the business, just starting to get his name out there with promotions such as Fist Combat in California. Please welcome the imminent threat, Hellmann Rosecrown.
What I do, it's great to meet you. It's great to say hi to everyone out there, and I'm just very honored to be here and with such great presence.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. We're really happy to have you. Going to get into your career and more. And our next guest is a true veteran in the business with over 20 years under his belt and still going strong. He is a former tag team champion and, of course, second generation in WWE. Please welcome Rene Dupree.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hey, thank you so much for coming as well. It's really awesome to have you both here. I always like to start it at the beginning, learn how it is you got into professional wrestling, your first experiences with it. So, Hellmann, I'll go to you first. How did you get into it? What is your journey like?
My journey has been of a guy who's been talking the game for his whole life, saying that's the only thing I've ever wanted to do. And I let life hit me hard and put other people in as priorities. And I've looked at guys like Rene Dupree my whole life as Greek gods and figured I could never be on that level. And it wasn't until the industry has changed with guys like Daniel Bryan, things have turned a corner to where I said, you know what, it's now or never. I'm getting older. I didn't get started in the business as young as Rene did. I waited till my mid-20s, and I just said, you know what, I wanted to train at Knox Pro with Rikishi because it was in Los Angeles.
Okay.
At the time I looked into it, they weren't open. So I ended up going with Santino Bros, and I've been very happy with my experience. They're top-notch, in my opinion.
That's awesome. That's really cool to hear. I want to get into your experience there. Rene, for you, as I mentioned, second generation, and I'm sure you get asked a lot, but how was that growing up surrounded by wrestling? Maybe when is that defining moment that you realized you wanted to actually go into it?
I don't know, always loved it. When you had like guys like Harley Race staying at your house and taking you out for ice cream. And
Yeah,
when I vacation in Florida, I'd stay at the Macho Man's house.
it's amazing.
Yeah, you get phone calls from guys like, Skylo Low. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the name.
Yeah, of
Skylo,
course.
the greatest midget of all time, midget wrestler. Yeah, I started like setting up rings when I was 13 for my dad and selling merchandising. And then he told me I had to be 200 pounds if you want to train me to be in the ring. So between 13 and 14, I put on like 40 pounds and I got up to 200 pounds and I started on 14.
Wow.
Up here, we did tours. We did like 7 nights a week. So the first year we did 6-week tour. And then 99, we started May 1st and we went all the way up to September 7th, wrestled every day of the week. 132 days, I think. 30
Wow.
days in a row.
At such a young age too. It's really cool. And do you remember what some of the early tactics that your father taught you were?
Well, it was like on the job training, right?
Right.
I mean, that's when you really learn. I mean, you can learn so much in a gym, but working in front of the people is when you really learn. So he put me with guys that were veterans. And that's the way you learn.
Well, Hellmann, I'll throw it to you now. Your training experience first was Santino Bros. That was where you first went, right? Let's hear about that.
As far as Santino Bros has been, It's been a lot of drilling and repetition. And coming from amateur wrestling previously, I enjoyed that, the cardio and the fact that they really hammer technique. And I had the pandemic kind of shut my training down to an extent. Being from Los Angeles, the restrictions were pretty severe. And Santino Brothers operates out of Bell Gardens, California. So they had to abide by those restrictions. Yeah, he just said, come work in front of a crowd. And I've been doing it every Saturday since.
Well, that sounds good. That's a good experience. You cut out a bit in the middle there. But
all right.
I'll go to your next experience. I know that with Fist Combat, we've had the guy, one of the head trainers there, Dirty Ron, on the show before. We've heard his tactics are a bit unorthodox, different from other schools. How has your experience been there?
I referred to it as guerrilla style.
Okay.
My experience has been great. He told me to come by, start training. I did. He said, "Oh, you're ready to go." He put me on a show that Saturday. I've been working steadily since, and he teaches us not just wrestling. He teaches us marketing and networking. So we go around in our gear, passing out flyers, getting people to come to the show the day of, and go out afterwards and spread the word.
Yeah. That's a great stretch. Rene, do you have any thoughts on that?
As far as learning different aspects of the business, not just the physical part in the ring. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Listen, a wise man once told me that 85% of his business is actually backstage. You know what I mean? And that's true. My experience. It's like anything in life. It's not what you know, it's who you know. You know what I mean?
Definitely true.
So
yeah.
One thing I know for a fact that the big leagues ask, one of the first questions is, who trained you?
Of course.
Right? So no matter how good you are, if the person that trained you has heat with the people hiring, it's not going to look good.
Question is, how would you get around that? If you did start and perhaps your trainer had heat, would you just start again at a new school, or you just push through?
Well, I mean, okay, for example, like Kevin Owens was trained by Jacques Rougeau, all right? There's a lot of people that maybe don't get along with Jacques Rougeau, but he still made it through, right? So, I'm just saying that that's the way it is. I don't have heat with anybody, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But no, you gotta go make your name for yourself. Sometimes you can get trained with a guy, and he can get you a tryout right away, and you might be able to get hired. Yeah, you just gotta make your way through. And sometimes it might take you years. Sometimes it might take you months. Sometimes you'll never make it, but you'll never know unless you try, right?
So true. Yeah. Really good advice. Rene, for you, when you were signed by WWE, I understand, did you have around 40 matches or so under your belt at that time?
I had about 500.
Really? Okay. So that was, well, that early time period before you signed with WWF, what was it like? What were those early matches like for you?
Well, I was working for my dad.
Yeah.
So like it was up here in Canada, it was seasonal. So we'd start like in the spring and go all the way up to the fall. And I was still going to high school at the time, right?
Right.
And then I actually took 1 year off from 17 to 18. I only had one match that year. But again, you got to market yourself, right?
Right.
And we all know that WWF, well, Vince McMahon especially is a big bodybuilding fan, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He likes great bodies.
Yeah.
He's the guy. Yeah. So I decided that I was going to compete in a bodybuilding contest, and I was lucky. I actually won. And it was like almost fate, because it was the provincials, and the following week was the nationals. I won the provincials, and the following week I won the nationals, and I was in muscle mags and all that stuff. So I mean, that looked good. I'm the second generation 6'3", 255 national bodybuilding champion. Over 500 matches, right? So my resume looked really good. I mean, you're applying for a job,
Right.
I mean, if you're going to apply for a job to be a dentist or whatever, they want to see job experience. They want to see credentials. It's like anything else. So, yeah, that's why I was hired at 18, 2 months after I graduated high school.
I want to get into that because I can't even imagine what was going through your head at the time. But Hellmann, I'll go to you first. So you've been able to work 3 months of straight matches now after COVID, right? After it shut you down. So I'm curious, your debut was probably still very fresh in your mind. What was that first match like for you?
It's a funny story, I guess, as they all probably are. I was getting ready for the match, and I was always told, less is more. It's a great art form to learn how to call matches on the fly. Don't do too much spot calling in the back. We did all that, but my opponent was the vet, so I deferred to him. He called the match start to finish while I'm getting my gear on. I wasn't able to provide music, and they didn't seem to care. They used some other song. So when the match went down, I looked at my opponent and said, "Is that your song or is that mine?" He took a second, said, "No, that's you." So I ran out there, first time in front of a crowd, with all this like energy, like kind of like pissed off aggression. And I realized, wait a minute, I'm the face. So I started smiling halfway through. There was a wardrobe malfunction as far as my jacket had trouble coming off. But on top of that, 90% of the moves I did in the match, I never practiced. I never trained. Right. He just called them and we just performed them. And so that was fun.
What an experience. Yeah, that's off to the races immediately. Rene, do you resonate with that at all with your very first match? I know you were still working for your father, but was it similar feelings?
I was the good guy, right?
Yeah.
I had this like tie-dye bullshit like shirt. And you're so nervous your first match. And you're a good guy, you're supposed to slap hands. And like I'm trying to slap people's hands and nobody wants to slap my hands. And then my father had this great idea because at the time, Backstreet Boys were really hot, right? So guess what my name was? The Backstreet Boy Rene Dupree. Yeah.
Just straight up.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, right.
Let's just say that the kids didn't get over.
No, they didn't get over.
I'm a natural heel, guys.
Yeah. Right, exactly. You really were. You were so convincing. Well, let me ask this. Do you remember a time when that turned around, kind of like that pressure was not as heavy as your first match?
I don't think it ever does, man. That's the thing. I forget. I think it was maybe Road Warrior Animal. He said, like, once those butterflies aren't there anymore, you might as well just quit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That means you don't. Having those butterflies is a part of the rush. Although there is a difference between like saying you're with the WWF in front of 25,000 people at WrestleMania or 50,000 people, and then you go back to like a rec center or something. Initially, there might be a little You know what I mean? That's why a lot of guys, once they leave WWF, they'll go in the indie scene and half-ass it and just be lazy or whatever.
Right.
You know, I've experienced that too, but after a while, you get that passion back, and you know you'll perform just as hard in front of 400 or 500 people as you would in front of 5,000, 6,000, 10,000.
Right. And you told us how you went about getting signed by WWF with the bodybuilding and having all the matches. Of course, your father. What was the experience like? Did you get a phone call? Did they send you a contract? How did that happen?
I went to a tryout, and they'd have week-long tryouts. At the time, it was Cincinnati, HWA, Heartland Wrestling Association. So they flew me to Cincinnati for a week-long tryout. AJ Styles was there, Tyson Tomko, Kevin Thorne,
Right.
Matt Morgan.
That's
And then they hired me from it. And then, because you had to come back to Canada to get your visa process, work permit. And then they sent me to Ohio Valley Wrestling. And then they came to my hometown here, and I went backstage at a show. And that's when they invited me to a tryout camp.
Very cool. What a cool feeling. Yeah. And obviously so young. Hellman, so I want to get into your style now in the ring. We've heard the very first match, very energetic, but what is that thing that you get the fans to take home about one of your matches?
what I'd like to get them to take home is just, I'm sure it's cliche, but my passion and my drive. I want it to be believable. Because I feel a lot of the industry now is all about athleticism and spot like maneuvers that wouldn't necessarily apply in a real world. And now we're so exposed to MMA and there's this crossover. It's like the two worlds are separate, but at the same time, they all boil down to being the story of a fight. And so I want people to look at me and believe me as a fighter, because maybe I'm not the biggest guy nor the strongest, but I've always been in fights my whole life. Unfortunately, I've had to fight for everything I've got. But as far as being a lucha guy or anything like that, I know I'm in SoCal. Lucha is very prevalent. So I want to be different than what everyone else is seeing. I don't want to be the same old, same old.
And I'll go to you now, Rene. Do you give any advice to rising stars on developing that unique in-ring style?
No, what he just said was absolutely right. Like the influence of MMA. Because now more than ever, people understand submission hold more than ever. They know how they're supposed to be applied. They understand how you can tap somebody out and how. So right now, in my opinion, holds are more prevalent than ever. Yeah. And that's what pro wrestling always, and before, you know, the entertainment and the going through tables and they're lighting people on fire and getting eaten by zombies. The holds, you know, were great. And I'm not just talking a chin lock. I'm talking actual, you know, arm bars and all these different types of holds. And he's right too. Be different. You know, you got 15 guys doing all these flips, flops, and flies. You got to be different. Make your style different. That way you stand out. You got to be different with your look. Okay. And you got to be different with the way you wrestle. If somebody's doing all these, if you go in the opening match and do Hurricane Ranas and a moonsault, and then you do it in the second match and the third match, and then the main event finishes a moonsault, is anybody going to give a shit? No, you got to be different.
It's really good advice. When you walked in, Rene, to OVW, throughout your whole career, I always saw that you really exuded confidence, even though being younger than the rest of the people there, you were still, it was very believable. So I'm curious, was what we were seeing matching your experiences in OVW backstage? Were you a confident kid?
Okay. My only type of socialization is going to the gym, working out, right?
Okay.
And then there's always this one guy in the gym who's a cocky motherfucker who just walks right and he's flex. So I figured if I'm going to be a bad guy, who's the one guy that I hate the most? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
So I became that guy in the gym that everybody hated. And it worked. Right? And that was the French guys. So, you know, there's a perception in North America about French people. They're this and that. So, you know, you add on to it. But yeah, but that's the thing. The people in the back are some of the biggest marks there is. And I really thought I was that because I'm very quiet and shy as a person, right? So,
Did you have any favorite opponents in OVW? I saw that you had, when I was just looking through it, I saw you had a match with The Miz. I saw you ran in with the APA a few times, and a bunch of their talent pool was huge down there. But did you have any favorite opponents?
Me and Charlie Haas really had good chemistry. and OVW. But if you're talking about the main roster, the guy I love wrestling the most would be Paul London.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
By far. But as a business, the guy I like wrestling the most was John Cena because I made more money.
Yeah. Great match with him too. Well, I don't want to get into that. Hellman, for you, I want to know about crafting your style because you definitely have one of the more interesting monikers to come on the show, being the Imminent Threat, Hellmann Rosecrown. I really want to know how you crafted that character.
So it really comes from a dark place. During the pandemic, always Stone Cold Steve Austin was the guy who got me into this industry as far as like being a fan. He was the shit, if I'm allowed to say that, or you believe it. He was the coolest guy at the time. And what I've always heard is he turned his personality up to 100. I wasn't that cocky guy in life, and I've been a little bit more downtrodden. So I looked into all the bad experiences I had in life and just kind of amplified that. My parents have passed away. I've experienced a lot of drug abuse around me and things that like of that nature. So I tried to take all that and put it in one. The name itself came from Orange is the New Black. They had a guard who was a total jerk by the name of Hellman. The last name came from some girl who I was pursuing for a while. So I just took all these parts of my life and threw them together. The Imminent Threat moniker was initially going to be the existential threat, because I just watched a bunch of scientific videos through the pandemic on just how the world could end scientifically. And just I did that for hours on end, and I figured the existential threat. I don't know. It just sounded like something I wanted to be known as. But I switched it to imminent because it felt more pressing, like it's inevitable.
And for somebody who hasn't seen just something as simple as your Instagram page, your social media, I feel like you work a lot on the aesthetic of your character and the image, and I love it. And I was curious to get your take on your vision overall of your character, how you go about that.
So yeah, the aesthetic, I use a lot of horror film from the 80s, slasher, gore stuff. Because a part of my character is he's dead serious, which is true about me in life. I'm not really, I mean, I like to joke around, but I'm not one I've never been the type of guy who'll prank anyone. I say it like it is. So Hellman's very serious, but I have this other side of me that I've yet to truly work on the scene, where it's fiendish, if you will. It's a dark Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde side that's a little bit more antagonistic, called the War Devil. So the way I crafted it is I kind of have a dark passenger like Dexter, which I love that show. Yeah, good show. Curious, Rene, if you have any thoughts on character development in general.
Well, it all depends on what your goals are. Now, if you're like an independent wrestler like the gentleman here, and you want to make yourself a name to where you can travel all over the world as an independent star, right? Well, he's going to have to be different than everybody on the independent level and get, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because name a top independent wrestler right now that hasn't been signed. Is there any? They sign everybody. Let's say, okay, like when Ricochet was hot as an independent wrestler, right? Well, you're not going to go steal his style because that's him. That's what's getting him over. You don't try to copy him. You try to do something different, right? Because him is basically all the flips and the cool stuff that he did, right?
Right.
Now, if you're trying to get over with your character per se and get that over, well, you got to be different than everybody else and work different than everybody else. But if your goal is to get to the WWF, there's a strong probability that whatever character you did before, they're going to say, no, this is who you are now. And this is what we want you to do. And yes, sir, you're paying me. You're the boss. I'll do as you're told. Right? It's like that at any other job. You can't get your ego involved. You can't say, no, I'm not. Well, okay, well, there's 1,000 people lined up willing to do as we say. So we don't need you. You know what I mean? So it all depends what your goals are.
Rene, I'm curious then for you, when you got to the WWF and a little after OVW, I think you were wrestling dark matches at the same time, but do you remember the character development that went into maybe the creative process for La Resistance?
It was basically the timing, man. It was perfect timing. It was perfect timing because after the 9/11, United States was trying to gather all the nations to go fight against Afghanistan and Iraq or whatever the hell. And the French said, no, it's none of our business. We feel sorry for you, but we're not going to go and kill ourselves for something that we're not even sure is the whole story and doesn't involve us. That's their mentality, right? And then the Americans they hated the French. So, but the whole the wardrobe and everything, that was all Vince McMahon and their creative. They came up with that whole wardrobe with the berets.
Right.
That was all them.
It got such great heat, especially that first time when you came out. The crowd was really, really reactive to it. So what did it feel like at such a young age getting that heat?
Dude, it's the best high in the world, but it's also the worst because it's hard to come down from. Okay, there's a reason why people on the high level, like musicians, comedians, especially wrestlers, usually have substance abuse problems. Okay, because when you have 20,000 people standing up, in my case being a bad guy heel, wanting to fucking kill you, excuse my language, wanting to kill you, that's a high that you can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's like, from a scientific standpoint, it's like the dopamine in your brain just explodes, and it's like it's a natural high. And then coming down from that, it's very difficult, right? I'll give you an example. You want me to tell you a story?
Yeah, of course.
Love
Okay,
it, please.
So we're in New York City, right?
Love it.
Madison Square Garden, and they tell us that me and Sly have to memorize the French national anthem. Like, I don't even know what the fuck the French national anthem sounds like. So we're in the back of the garden trying to memorize these lyrics, right? So we were doing it, and then it was a commercial break. So the red light goes black, you're on commercial, right? And then the referee, because they had the earpiece, right? He's like, get some heat, get some heat. Vince wants you to get some heat. I was like, okay. You people know what USA really stands for? The U is for unappreciative. The S is for selfish, because you're all selfish people. And the A is the most important part, because the A stands for assholes. Now, when you're in Madison Square Garden, New York City, and 20,000 people get up in unison, and there's a literal wave of heat that you feel. That's when I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh my God. That's incredible. Just from a fan's perspective, just being a part of that, like I can imagine too, not from your perspective. So Hellmann, you've been for 3 months now doing shows, and have you noticed the crowd being a bit more reactive? Because it's been deprived, as we all have, of wrestling for a while due to COVID. So how do you feel working the crowd?
Well, absolutely. Working the crowd is a total different beast from the in-ring work or, the behind the scenes. The crowd is that variable.
Yeah.
Fist as a promotion, Fist Combat, they're based in Ocean Beach, California and San Diego now, but they've been running steadily through the pandemic. They actually invented a drive-in wrestling in the area, and they've been performing obviously at a reduced rate from 2019.
Okay.
I jumped in, as you said, 3 months ago. The crowd's local. They're not necessarily wrestling diehard fans. And yeah, they're yearning for live entertainment, which is what we pitch it as. Live entertainment, come throw popcorn at the wrestlers, heckle us. I was called the dollar store Shawn Michaels just last Saturday. Like, they were ruthless sometimes to some people. So I'm enjoying my experience. But being a face is a lot tougher than you might assume. It's Rocky Maivia for me a little bit. Just a little bit.
Oh shit.
Rene, so you mentioned, you're a natural heel. Did you experience that too? What he just said about being a face, how it's harder?
Oh, it's the worst feeling in the world. Oh yeah, because again, I was the backstreet boy when I first started. Right? So you go to like these small towns and you got these cocky little teenagers.
But I heard a local guy, somebody was telling him, and this was at a show I was just at, and he said, yeah, your mom taught me how. His name is Vinny Wasco. He's great. Yeah, it was good. It was a good rebuttal. Like, shut him down.
Like this day and age, you got to be careful, man. I mean, look what happened with Cena, right? He just mistaken Taiwan for a country, and look what happened. So that's like, people ask me like, they hate the scripted stuff from WWE, right? Well, that's a prime example of why they have to do that. Because if you say one wrong in this day and age, that could cost you a sponsorship, that could cost you a shareholder, that could screw up the network deals. And that's just like, it's like a domino effect, dude. If they lose a network, TV network deal, boom, everything goes down. Look, he said he just made one mistake and then his movie bombed the following week. It was down like 85 or 90%.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that happened to the movie. That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
So now you know why, like, the fans are going to watch this. Now you know why they have to do that. They have, and I know a few guys that actually went off script. You guys remember Damien Sandow?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Aaron Stevens.
Well,
Aaron Stevens. Right.
Well, he was doing that thing with the Miz, right? And it was pretty fucking entertaining.
It was. And
he knew it was entertaining, but they didn't want to go because it's a comedy character and they weren't. So then he went off script on the microphone while they made a prime example of him. Goodbye, buddy. You're replaceable. Because if they let one guy do that, then everybody's going to follow suit and they cannot. No, it's business, man. You can't do that.
That's that promo where he came out and he said, they say that I'm not entertaining. Like he was just in his, that was that singular promo he did on Raw, right? Yeah, I remember that. I remember
he went into business for himself.
Right. And, wow.
And I can understand because it is frustrating when you feel like you should, you know what I mean? And you want it. And we're all competitive by nature. But business is business, man. You gotta be professional.
Right. It's a really good point about those scripted promos. Rene, for you to pick out a specific moment from La Résistance, obviously when you won the tag team championships, you yourself for the first time, youngest champion ever in WWE at the time. And so I'm curious how that
okay. A 9-year-old doesn't count. I'm sorry.
Seriously. They did that. Yeah. They did that just to write you out the history books. I've been saying that for a while. And
I'm still the first teenager, so at least I got that.
You got that, yeah. Well, what was the feeling like of getting those tag team titles at such a young age?
I didn't realize that I was the youngest. The thought didn't cross my mind.
Wow.
Yeah. I was just so OCD, right?
Yeah.
At the time. That's why it was kind of hard to deal with at that time. Severe OCD. But the problem with that match is like you'll hear sometimes that, like I'm sure you guys have heard it, like you'll have like an X amount of minutes, but at the last second they'll cut it in half. So then you got to, that's why I wasn't very happy with the match. Well, man, I'm only 19. It's one of my first pay-per-view matches, and all of a sudden you cut the time in half. It's like, shit, what do you do, right?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's cool. The fact that I didn't want to, because they tried to resign. That's why they did that, right? They wanted to try to resign me, and I wasn't ready to go back at the time. So that's why they did that at WrestleMania. They put the belt on a 9-year-old.
Really? That's crazy. So they were looking to bring you back. Or would you ever go back?
Well, they've been looking to bring me back for years.
Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I just mentally, I would just, because I'd have to live in the United States and.
Right. I've heard how good the perks are in Japan compared to your time in the States. So I understand.
Oh, Japan is just, but it's not only that, it's like your freedom, right? It's like that outlaw Bruiser Brody, Stan Hansen type freedom that you have. Because you got your base in Japan, especially in this day and age, more and more people around the world watch Japanese wrestling.
Yeah.
And you're really an independent contractor, meaning I can get my exposure there and because the Japanese are the best. They're the best wrestlers. And you can put on great, and a lot of people watch it. And then you can get booked out everywhere. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're really in control of your own everything. You're not as restricted. It does sound, it sounds good for somebody like you still in their prime. Why restrict?
Well, like for example, when I debuted with Noah, we won the Global Tag League and all that stuff. Within 1 week, I got over a dozen offers from companies I never worked with.
Oh,
from different, like New Zealand, Malaysia, Hong Kong. I was like, holy Christ, this is amazing. And a lot of companies in the States that I never even heard of, all of a sudden they want to use them. So
And
that, like, there's that part. Like financially, you might be better off going to WWF, but you know, if I can live off X amount of money, be happy and still save, or I can make X amount of dollars, but be miserable as shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So I guess it all depends on your goals.
Renee, have you been living in Japan for like since you've been like about 15 years, or you come and go?
This like I was supposed to be there for 6 months. I was gonna come home for a month and go for the rest of the year. But the pandemic, man, they shut down all the borders and they're not letting people in. But yeah, this is 14 years.
Wow.
I was booked in Japan 2 days after asking for my release in 2007. I've been there ever since.
I Googled you a long time ago and I saw those tats and I was like, man, this will still go.
I told you guys, I got OCD.
For your future projects or anything you're working on right now, because I know you were just on set yesterday filming for a promotion. So do you want to talk about what you've been up to?
Yeah, I've actually, I'm at that stage where I'm trying to be a student and pay my dues and not overextend myself. But at the same time, I'm taking all the advice I've been given, and it's get gear, be ready, stay ready. And when an opportunity knocks, take it. And thus far, I've had the opportunity to wrestle at 3 separate promotions, work with 4 different companies altogether. The last one you were referring to was Compton Mania. It's a new promotion in Compton, California, kind of an untapped wrestling market in the area. I've also started working with Pandemonium Professional Wrestling in Pomona. I've wrestled for Santino Brothers now, Fist Combat. I have a few bookings on the horizon, one in Vegas, one in Mexico. So yeah, things are just materializing. Wow. And this podcast is one of them.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, and you're really getting your name out there. That's awesome. That's really cool to see it turning around after so long of on hold for a lot of people. So there were a few synonymous things with the Rene Dupree character in WWE, one of which the French Tickler, right? The dance that I feel a lot of people remember you for, if it's not the in-ring ability. So where did that come from and how did it get over?
You guys remember Rick Martel?
Yes, the model, yeah.
Go watch some of his old stuff. That's where I got it. What's old is new again, right?
Yeah, right.
But the name French Tickler, that was Jerry the King Lawler came up with it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
I just went and talked to him and said, I do this stupid little dance. He goes, yeah, well, here in America, we use the French Tickler a lot. Oh, okay. French Tickler, fine, okay. But you guys know Cristiano Ronaldo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soccer player?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, 2008, I had a webmaster at the time. He goes, oh my God, look at this. And he sent me a picture, Cristiano Ronaldo doing the French Tickler after a field goal. That's like the highest paid athlete in the world doing your shit. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool.
I heard a rumor, Renee, that the French Tickler, the dance, it was banned in one match, but you did it anyway. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, it was SummerSlam, right?
Yeah.
It was the pre-show before, and it was in Toronto, 2004.
Okay.
It was me and Van Damme on the Sunday Night Heat that led into the pay-per-view, right? And then I did it, and it got a huge pop. And then as I get Michael Hayes goes, I want you to quit doing that. I was like, okay. So I did it anyway, me being me. And then it's the most weirdest thing because I get to it was the following day at SmackDown taping, right?
Right.
So as I go through the gorilla position, Vince is there with a big, because all he cares about is reaction and getting over. So I passed him. I was like, all right, the guy who signs my check just gave me a 2 thumbs up. But then here comes Michael Hayes saying, I told you not to do that. I'm fining you $1,000. I was like, okay, well, my boss, the man who owns the company, just gave me 2 thumbs up, but you're going to fine me? I think it's because they wanted me to be a heel and they didn't want me to get over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at that time, I'd already been a heel for 2 or 3 years, and I'd rather be a babyface because then you get merchandising, and then you make a lot more money. If I'm going to be up there and playing by your rules and I want to make as much money as I can. Sorry.
Oh, it's a good outlook to have. Another one of the synonymous things with Rene Dupree was the dog, Fifi, that came into the picture. How was that? Not like just traveling with a live animal in general seems like a
Well, it would just show up for TVs.
okay.
But again, I was thinking merchandising for the little Fifi dolls for the kids.
That's a good idea.
Right?
Yeah.
Because every house show would come out every single night without exception. I would hear a group of kids going, "Where's Fifi? Where's Fifi?" Always, every single night. And I was begging them, please just make little Fifi dolls. Because I had like a white one, a dark one. One time I was pink.
Yeah.
I was like different color Fifi dolls, and the kids will buy that shit, but they never did. But it was just another way to be different,
right?
Stand out,
and it really did. All these years later, you're in that elite group of people who carried animals to the ring. Did you come up with that? So that was you, the dog?
That was me. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Hellmann, for you, so I know, as we said, it's been a short career so far in the ring, but are there any of those matches that stick with you, helped get your career along there? Proud moments so far?
Well, I mean, really, each time it's almost been better than the last.
Yeah.
The first one was great because it was my debut. I've had respect for pretty much everybody I've gotten in the ring with. One of my last few matches was at Crimson Crown Wrestling. The title of the show was Who Am I? A Supreme Lester Purfer's memorial show. So it was actually a memorial for one of my trainers from Santino Bros who passed away during the pandemic, but it was not COVID related.
Okay.
So it was a great show to be a part of. It was a show I wanted to have tickets on as a fan, and it sold out, and I wanted to actually help out behind the scenes, but they had limited capacity, and recently they were able to open it up, and I got an offer to fill in a role in the opening match. It was just a dream come true in that extent, to be in front of a crowd in Los Angeles, celebrating someone that helped pave my way.
That's an incredible experience. It is to do that for your trainer. I'll go to you now, Rene, for matches that really stick with you. You mentioned that you liked working Cena when it came to the money aspect, but also I'm curious what your relationship was like with him, because you had several run-ins. One of them for the U.S. title at Judgment Day, right, 2004. So what was that like for you, Cena?
Oh, he's a professional,
Yeah.
In the ring, like I told you guys, 85% of this is backstage.
Right.
A lot of guys say, well, this guy sucks in the ring. Yeah. But when they asked him to be awake at 5 a.m. for a radio interview, he's there. When he shows up to do a live talk show, he's dressed nice. He's perfectly shaved. He can speak articulately and intelligently. He represents the company. Okay. This is professional wrestling. You got to be a professional. You understand? It takes guys like me to make you look good in the ring. That's just a small part of it, right?
Right.
I can make anybody look good. And deep down, I felt like, okay, well, I want to do that stuff too. I want to do the radio interview, but I left before I really had the chance because I was only 23 when I left, right? I'm still young.
Yeah.
That's a large part of guys don't understand. But Cena was a professional. He always looked great, always kept himself dressing nice, very articulate, very intelligent. And that's the big part of it. Because you can be a star, but Vince has to promote you. In order to promote you, he has to send you out and be able to trust you. Any relationship, romantic or business, what's the most important part? Trust.
Yeah, spot on, really. Well, that's cool to hear about Cena. And another point for La Resistance is when you guys would eventually lose the tag team titles to the Dudleys. But along that feud, there was a 6-man tag that took place involving Spike. And a lot of people remember the spot with Spike where he doesn't exactly hit the table. He comes short. And I was curious if you had words with him after that happened or how he was.
Oh, I felt bad.
Yeah.
I felt so bad. But the thing is, it wasn't our idea. We didn't say, hey, we're going to do this. That was Bubba Ray's idea to do that. And he set up the table as well. We didn't set up the table. And we actually said, we don't feel comfortable doing this, but they made us do it anyway. And we got so much flack, like on the internet, especially about it. Oh, these guys aren't ready. That has absolutely nothing to do with wrestling. And really, if he would have taken it normally, would anybody be talking about it?
No.
The fact that he got fucked up is why everybody still remembers it. So what was it really worth? And again, there's too much room for error. That has nothing to do with pro wrestling. It's too dangerous. If you were to do that like on a movie set, guess what? They'd have cables and they'd have different takes. There's some stuff is just too dangerous to do, and there's too much risk involved, you know. But again, it wasn't our idea. And when I learned to train pro wrestling, guess what? There wasn't, okay, we're going to learn how to go through a table class today.
Yeah.
Hey, we don't have that up here. We learn how to grab headlocks, take over, chain wrestle, psychology. We don't learn how to go through a table or fall off a ladder. Excuse my language.
Well, Hellmann, for you, another piece of your arsenal that I'd like to talk about are your promos, because it seems right now you really exude passion and obviously in your matches. But have you been able to make those as believable as your in-ring work so far?
Well, egg or chicken. I was doing the promos, and that's how I got most of the opportunities I have now. I got noticed, and I'm not one to really pump my own self up, but I've had a lot of praise from all sorts of directions from other people enjoying my work. So I don't even necessarily look at them as promos, more like monologues, because the structure isn't necessarily me promoting a match, an event, or an angle. So I've looked at it as almost therapy. You know, I'm fleshing my character out. I don't actually do it. I don't plan anything I say. All the stuff I have online, I just press record and I press record again. And I'm like, I watch it back, say, okay, that was decent. Let's see what other people think. So I put it all out there at this point just to get feedback.
Yeah. It seems like a good strategy, Rene. I'm curious. You're nodding. And I know at one point you even had your own talk show, Cafe de Rene. I think it only had a few segments, but still, I'm curious how you went about promos.
Well, like again, if you're WWF, they pretty much tell you what, you know, what you want to do, right? But personally, I feel like if you take whatever scenario in and it's real, people can feel it. There's an old, okay, you guys ever went to a WWF televised event?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So you remember they had those Desire videos with Kid Rock, Lonely Road of Faith? Remember those? Okay.
Yes.
At the beginning of that, it said, if it sounds good, people will listen. If it's marketed right, people will buy it. But if it's real, people will feel it. Right? So some of the best interview, like the CM Punk pipe bomb. Right?
Yeah.
Or the Paul Heyman when he was shooting on Vince McMahon in the ring. I hate your freaking guts. You stole all my ideas. If it's real, people can feel it. That to me makes a great promo. You know what I mean? But you can't overdo it. You have to pick your spots, because if it's always the same, then people get used to it. So you gotta have scripted shit. But when you really want to sell something and really have a money match, then throw that in there.
That gave the way you just said that gave me chills. That's really cool. I agree. Some of those big moments are definitely just shooting. Rene, for you, a career specific question, also involving a lot of work on the mic, was your run-in with the Rock and Sock connection with La Résistance, the second iteration, I think, of La Résistance. So can you get into that? Because that is just such a cool moment. Very entertaining as well. I loved it.
Oh, it was Anaheim, California, right? Sold out, 20,000 people. Nobody knew The Rock was there. Remember that wave I told you felt?
Yeah.
When I was in New York City? Well, I felt it again that night. But it wasn't the heat, it was the love. That was that was a hard one to come down from. You know, because that's when you know someone is over. Because he is over. And the back and forth. What really pisses me off that he wanted to do the French Tickler.
Oh, he did?
He didn't get in. Yeah, I was like, if I can get you to do this,
it's over forever. Yeah.
I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Right. So, but yeah, that was great.
Did you have? Let's hear. I was going to say, did you have any words afterwards with him backstage or anything, or beforehand maybe?
No, just shook her hand and was like, this guy, class act, man. Yeah. Class act. Yeah. That guy could be president if he wanted to be.
Such a cool experience. I believe it. Yeah, that's awesome. Hellman, going to you, that seems like it was a huge, you could say dream moment for any competitor there. So I'm curious for you, are there dream matches out there?
if I had to say one dream match, and I don't know if he's still gonna be going at this point, Randy Orton's my idol. As far as wrestling, around 2003, 2004, he had a match with Rob Van Dam, who was my favorite at that time. And it's just, I remember that moment. I'm like, that's my guy. And since that point, consistently, he hasn't let me down, even whether he's being utilized or he's just on the roster. I just really admire him. So the whole business is just a dream come true. So it's something I'm just glad to be a part of. And I know that maybe sounds like complacency, but my dream is to be in the WWE. It's changing as far as like the WWE isn't what it was previously. Like, I don't know, behind the scenes, but that's my main goal, is to work in the WWE at some point, some capacity.
All right. I love the Orton though, and I agree. He's been putting in good work, and I think he was a big proponent of why people were tuning in during the pandemic era for sure. He was reinventing. But Rene, for you, are there dream matches out there or ones that you have completed? I know you've done a lot of matches, whether it be in WWE or in Japan.
I've been in the ring with them all.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Just keep doing it. I like to do it till I'm 45.
Okay.
Right. If I don't, break my hip.
Right.
I'm 37 now, so another 8 years. I was lucky. I got to invest the money early that I made. A lot of guys don't.
Yeah.
A lot of guys spend it foolishly. So like my retirement's set. And till I'm about 45 and keep going to Japan. I know I've been going there for 14 years. Maybe go back to the States. Maybe have a run with an American company. I don't know. But no, I just got that deadline till I'm 45 and see what happens.
Yeah.
I know my old partner Sylvan is in the WWF office now. We still contact here and there. So.
Oh, okay. So we could see something down the line, maybe.
You never know.
No, never. Oh, okay. Never.
No. I said you never know.
Oh, you never know. Okay.
Never know.
Well, this is a fan question. Another fan question, Rene, was when you were attacked by the Undertaker, sacrificed, I think was the term used. And we hear a lot about Undertaker being like a general backstage, especially at that point. Can you speak to that at all? How that experience was getting tombstone on steel steps?
Oh, well, actually, when he hit me with the steps and I took a bump,
yeah,
I actually got like a concussion because my head hit the cement.
Wow.
Because there's like you got those dark, hard mat
pads.
thingy,
Yeah.
right? Then you have like a thin layer of carpet, but underneath that, I mean, it's only this thin.
Oh, wow.
You're taking a bump on an arena floor, which is cement. So when I hit my head, but no, the tombstone itself was perfect.
It looked it too.
No, Taker's he's a pro, man.
Yeah.
Scary son of a bitch too.
Yeah. Was he like a general backstage during that time for you, would you say?
Yeah, he's a straight shooter. You don't want to cross him because one word recommendation from him to the boss, you're gone.
Right.
Or you can get elevated. But like him, Vince, Pat Patterson, Stephanie, they all said the same thing. When hey, you're here for the long term, because they had plans, for me but it's just with the amount of guys dropping dead, heart attacks, and double murder suicides, kind of want to get away there for a while. Because when you're there, you don't know that there's a world of wrestling outside.
Yeah.
They don't. You're led to believe that there is no other world, but there is. It might not be as lucrative. It might be more of a hustle, but I actually enjoy the hustle. I get a self of reward when I get an extra booking, or I can do it on my own independently. I kind of enjoy that process.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And aside from like a business, like you were just describing, like the logistical difference, what is the in-ring style difference for someone who's maybe not familiar with when you left televised entertainment WWE and went to Japan? What's that difference like?
Really stiff.
Yeah.
You guys know Kawada, Tenryu, and Kawada? When I first got there, okay, Tenryu. Okay, you guys know Me, right?
Yeah.
Haku.
Yeah. Haku, of course. Yeah.
Haku actually started his career as a sumo wrestler in Japan. He lived in the dojos, and his senpai, his senior, was Tenru. Tenru, he was a part of like the Royal Rumbles back in there. He was one of the Japanese guys. And
okay. Yeah.
people always say how tough Haku is. Well, Tenru is right up there, just as, if not more tough than him. All right, because they're both sumo wrestlers. And those sumos are badass. Right? And my first week in Japan, it was 2007. I go into the dojo, and there's Tenru at 55 years of age, repping out 500 on the bench press.
Wow.
Couldn't fucking believe it, dude. I'm 37 now, and I can barely do 225. Okay, my shoulders was up. Right? Anyway, first match with Tenru, he hits me with a chop so hard I thought my heart stopped. All right, it's like, okay, welcome to Japan.
Oh my God.
Welcome to Japan. They don't play. Guys like you guys know Minoru Suzuki?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Same thing, man. You get through those
my
kicks
God.
and you don't play. They're
Wow.
businessmen. Yeah.
So you've had to adapt your style, I assume, right? Or is it similar what we?
Well, that's the thing, because I adapt my style. Now I work like one of them, and I come back to North America, and
Yeah.
people are scared of me. It's like, no.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry. It's just, but I think they're the best. I think that's the way it should be. That's what's missing maybe in North American wrestling, that strong
Style. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people try it, but if you haven't experienced it and haven't worked it, all you're doing is copying what you see on TV.
Right.
You got to go there and actually experience it and work it for years to really adapt to it. A lot of these guys say, yeah, I'm strong style. No, you're just watching what you see on TV and trying to copy it.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. Yeah.
Huge. Well, I'll hand it over to you, Hellmann, for the final question for you. What can we expect for your future? I know you said your end goal is WWE. Are there any short-term goals for you as you continue on?
My goals are to wrestle in as many states, as many countries as possible. One of my trainers, Ryan Kidd, has had the opportunity to train in Tijuana, in England, in Japan. And so he's doing the traditional route that maybe isn't as prevalent these days. So I want to just wrestle as many places and have as many opportunities and get my face out there, much like to be in a podcast with Rene Dupree. Are you kidding me? Like, I almost didn't believe you, you know?
Yeah.
But hey, it happened, and I just want to be available for these sort of opportunities. So anything and everything, bring it on.
I love that mentality. Well, best of luck, really, for all the goals that you do have.
What he's saying is he wants to wrestle a blow-up doll.
Calling you out.
Oh my God. Well, Rene, you mentioned what we could expect for you when you're going to stop wrestling 45, but is there anything that we could expect for the near future?
I said 45, but you know, wrestlers never retire, right?
Yeah, you're going to come back 55.
They never retired. They just quit getting booked. That's the truth.
So funny.
Terry Funk is on his 125th retirement.
Well, do you have your eyes set on anything, or is Japan where you really want to be? Other than Japan, I mean, or is Japan it?
Yeah, I still got a run left in Noah. Like I said, we were supposed to be there in January. We were going to stay 6 months. I had a 6 months visa.
Okay.
Me and Wagner are scheduled to challenge again for the GHC tag titles because we had to relinquish it because of the pandemic, right?
Right.
So as soon as we go back, we got a title shot waiting for us. And then, I was going to stay over there 6 months and then because their tours are usually 2 weeks.
Okay.
So do the 2 weeks, stay in Japan, and then on my off days, just travel on that side of the world, right? And then I'm done there. I'll do my usual 3 months in Europe every year. And then, but you know what? I kind of miss the States because it's been a while. Yeah, I mean, I go to, because I'm close to Maine, so I'll drive up to Maine for a weekend, do a couple shots. And then I went to West Virginia, then I went to Portland, Oregon, then I did a few shots here and there. Florida, I did what's that, Wrestlemania, WrestleCon? Is that what
WrestleCon, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to do another one of those. I enjoy it at all. If I can do a wrestling show, okay, then I'll do the autographs. But just to go do the autographs,
Oh, you weren't on the show? You was just the autograph session?
No, I just went there to do the autograph thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I still want to get in the ring and wrestle. That's
Yeah,
yeah.
there to do business. Yeah, definitely.
But if any promoter watches this, you just tell them how to contact me, and
Of course, we'll have it all up on the screen, your social medias, and anything you want. Well, last question for you, Rene. Final question. Do you have any advice for Hellmann as he continues his career? You've given some great advice so far.
never, ever, ever give up. That's my best advice. Never give up.
Persistent furthers. Yeah.
Never give up.
I won't retire, but if they stop booking me,
You gotta hustle, bro. If you really want it, you'll do it. Contact promoters yourself. Don't, remain humble. Don't think that you're a big, huge star that's deserving now. Just realize that everybody is replaceable.
Yeah.
And, be humble.
Definitely. Yeah. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
No problem, bud.
This has been really fun for me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That'll finish us off for this one. And thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
On everybody, Jonah from Rewind, Recap, Relive. You just watched a bunch of me, which whatever video this is on, you've definitely at least watched a few minutes. So, I'm going to tell you right now, you know what I'm about to say, and you know that you have to do it. Head over to wrestlingpins.bigcartel.com right now. You're going to not regret it. You're going to pick up some pins. Whatever pins they got over there right now, they're the best in the business. Best merchandise out there. Go pick up some pins. Use the code RRR150FF. Get 15% off your order, and I'll see you soon.
Message Daddy, Boogie Woogie Man feel good. I tell my people, my brothers and sisters, don't you dare miss online, rewind, recap, relive. Oh,